Okay, this design here may be familiar to you. This is the color wheel, and I'm going to talk to you about what the color wheel is and how it really elegantly describes the color spectrum. And then I'm going to show you how easy it is to create your own color wheel with shapes that are equal distant apart using the Adobe CS programs. So the color wheel is just really genius. It shows us the colors of the spectrum, and it explains to us how they mix together, and it does this all just with a single image. So let's get started and talk about what is happening here when we're looking at this color wheel. See a number of colors, and if I were to ask you, what are the three primary colors? Right? You would think first, what does she mean by primary? Maybe she's referring to something like primary numbers or prime numbers. Prime numbers are numbers that can't be divided by a whole number. And maybe she's kind of talking about something like that, but with color. And yeah, primary colors are a lot like prime numbers. You can't mix two colors together to get a primary color. Primary colors are pure, and they are used to mix together and create other colors, which is really interesting. So if you look at this, you can kind of imagine what the primary colors are going to be, right? They're going to be red, yellow, and blue. These three colors can be mixed together to create any color out there in the spectrum. In fact, if you mix these three colors together in equal parts, you'll get pure gray. And for those of you who are painters or watercolor artists, you've probably done this before to create gray in your paintings. Okay, so let's demonstrate now how this works. I'm going to get my eyedropper tool out in Photoshop, and I'm going to take a little sample of this red here. Paint a little red, and now let's see how we can get orange by mixing yellow to red. Now I'm putting my yellow color on 50% opacity so we can see what happens when we paint yellow over red, and we get orange, right? So you mix red and yellow, you get orange. Now I'm going to take out my eyedropper tool. I'm going to paint yellow on 100% opacity. And now I'm going to get out my eyedropper tool, select blue, and then paint blue over yellow at 50% opacity, right? You can see a kind of green color starting to emerge. And then I'm going to finally get out blue. I'm going to select some red. Put my red on 50% opacity, and there we get that purple color. Isn't that really interesting and cool? Okay, so now we're ready to make our own color wheel. How do we do this? Well, I'll start with just a pure white background, right? I'm just using my paint bucket tool to paint in the background white. Now I'm just going to make a new layer by hitting Shift Command N, and I'm going to start with a big circle. Now I'm going to select the ellipse tool, which can be found amongst your custom shape tools down here in your tool palette. And I'm going to go up to the top of the screen and make sure I'm working in the shape layers mode. This is really important because this is going to enable me to create a vector shape that can be easily resized, stroked, and a border can easily be added to it. Okay, so now I'm going to draw a simple circle. Now the silvery line around my circle there is the path, letting me know I'm making a vector object. Right now my fill color is white and my stroke is white, so we're not seeing anything just yet. I'm going to change the stroke for now to black, just pure black. And then I'm going to change the stroke itself to these dots here. Now this is all happening up at the top of the screen. Now I'm going to increase the size of my stroke until, see how we're making a bunch of circles that are equal distance apart? I'm going to increase the size of my stroke until I get 6 circles that are equal distant apart. Now it looks like we're starting to get close as we get up to 59 and 60. So let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's good. This circle down here looks a little bit large, so I'm going to shrink it down to 58. That's a little, we need to make it a little bit larger. So I'll increase it to 61. There we go. Now we have 6 circles that are equal distance apart. So we're almost ready to go. I'm just going to change my fill color from white to transparent by clicking on that red line that's through the square right there. That way our color wheel can be placed on a multicolored background if we want. Okay, now I need to rasterize this shape because I'm going to be changing the color of these circles. So to do that, I'm going to go up to Layer, Rasterize Shape. This turns my vector object into a pixel-based object. Now I'm going to separate these circles onto separate layers so I can colorize them individually. So to do that, I'm going to get out my elliptical marquee tool. I'm going to select the first circle, and then I'm going to go up to Layer, New, Layer via Cut. Now this circle, as you can see from my layer panel, is now layer 5. I'm going to change it to red. I'm just changing its name from layer 5 to red. Now I'm going back to my ellipse number 2 layer. I'm going to get out my elliptical marquee tool again, select this ellipse, and now go up to Layer, New, Layer via Cut. And now I'm going to change this layer to orange. I'm just renaming it orange. Now I'm going to go back to ellipse number 2. Use my elliptical marquee tool to select the next ellipse. Now I'm going to go up to Layer, New, Layer via Cut, and I'm going to call this yellow. Just a few more to do. Layer, New, Layer via Cut. I'll call this green. layer, new layer via cut. This will be called blue, and the last one will be called purple or violet. Now we can double click on each of these layers and bring up the layer style menu. Now I can click on the color overlay option, double click, and I can change the color to red or any color that I want. Now I'm going to double click on orange and double click on the color overlay option. And now I'm going to select from that red box there, I'm going to select an orange color instead of red. And I'm just going to keep on doing that until eventually a color wheel that looks something like this. Isn't this great?